Good morning, brothers and sisters. Happy Sunday. Nice to see you all. This weather has been interesting this week. Mother Nature is keeping us guessing. We went from 60s one day to a snowstorm the next day. Right? So today's kind of in the middle, right? 30, that's okay. That's kind of, anyway, we're looking forward to spring, right? Just around the corner. We're hoping a little bit early, right? What did the groundhog say this year? 6 more weeks? Anyway, it's pretty nice. We can be grateful for the sunshine. I mean, look out the window. You don't realize how cold it is out there. So that's good. Right here. Anyway, it's happy you could all make it, and nice to see everybody, and nice for all of us to see each other. So we're going to begin. We're going to begin with announcements. We're going to invite a special guest to give announcements. This is not the sermon. This is announcements. Our pastor is doing the announcements. So let's welcome Justin Okamoto.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. So, we have quite a few announcements, and I'll be also inviting up a couple people to share. Is that the first one? That's usually the last one. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we love that announcement. We show it every time. We're getting there, getting there. Okay, so let's go on to the announcements. So the first one is we haven't done this in quite a while, but there is a new episode of Checking In with the Pastor. And in this one, I kind of give an update on some of the things that are going on in the community. And it's about 14 minutes long. So if you want to just get like a sense of what's going on from from my perspective, whether that's with the care ministry or outreach or different events that we've done in this past month, this is a really great way to stay connected to what our different ministries are doing. So we sent the last one out in the newsletter, so you can check your emails, or also you can check on the website if you want to watch that. Also, care ministry, we're continuing to meet on Mondays at 8 p.m. on Zoom. So you can find the Zoom link also in your emails and on the website. And we're always welcome to include more people in this ministry. This is a new one. There's going to be a Divine Principle workshop, a 2-day workshop on March 5th to the 6th. This is a district-wide project. So it's going to be held at 43rd Street. And it's basically mainly for guests or new members, for them to receive Divine Principle education. So we'll send out an email for this one shortly if you want to see more information. But also you can contact our district pastor, Reverend Milhan, if you want more information. It's not moving. Oh, there we go. Wait, did I? Okay, there we go. So another one is we are looking for two positions now in our ministry to fill. First one is Sunday school director. We've had Athya Shibuya step in the past few months to take on that role, and been really grateful for the work she's done. But she's wanting to move on to other things, and so we're looking to fill that role. If you're interested, or if you know someone who might be interested, please let me or any of the council members know. Also, we're looking for a young adult coordinator, so somebody who can organize young adult events, maybe like some kind of young adult service, or young adult outings. So if you know anybody who's has a passion for reaching out to young adults and working together with young adults to create great experiences for them, please let again me or one of the council members know. And one thing to know is this person doesn't have to necessarily give sermons or be the person to spiritually guide people. It's more someone who can work with me to gather and to organize. So that's what we're looking for. Also, we're going to have our first widows and widower support group today after service. So they're going to be meeting at the White House at 12 o'clock, and lunch is going to be served. And it'll go on for about 2 hours, and it's going to be facilitated by our brother Kimise Miyake. This is really kind of strictly for widows and widowers. So if you're not in that category and you're kind of interested, please allow this to be kind of a space just for them so that they can connect with each other, with people who have gone through the same experience. Also for people, if you've lost somebody like a family member that wasn't your spouse, like your mom or your dad, you can also attend. So this is kind of a grief support group. And then, so this is a new initiative, a new event that we've been working on. This is the Honoring Our Blessing Banquet. And basically, we want to hold a banquet. It's going to be at East Garden to really celebrate our blessed couples and the blessing culture. And this is also an opportunity to educate our youth in a very kind of experiential way, where in the past, I think a lot of our blessing education has been sharing about the meaning of the blessing and going to workshops and getting education. but we really wanted to create a way that was more organic for them to just experience the blessing, have them see it for themselves. So I want to show just a short video. Actually, this is based off of a program that I did during my time in Japan. So basically, the premise is, before we have the banquet, we have a half-day workshop for the youth where they gather together and they get some education on the value of the blessing. And then during the evening, blessed couples come together, and it's a community experience where the youth then go from being educated to being serving their older brothers and sisters, their parents, where they dress up all nice and try to create like this kind of fancy restaurant style vibe for the blessed couples. You can see they're dressed in their little tuxedo outfits. And the blessed couples can come together and they have a good time. We play games together. We listen to testimonies. And all the while the youth are serving and also listening to the testimonies and watching the couples really invest in their blessings together. And so we want to give the youth this vision for the blessing, like, oh, this is what the blessing really can be. It can really be this beautiful experience of couples enjoying times together, creating memories together. This is going to be on March 19th at East Garden. I think we decided to do it at 5:30. And again, there's going to be a level 1 blessing workshop before that during the day. So if you have if you have kids that you want to send them to that, I would much encourage that. If you want more information, you can talk to myself. You can talk to Masai Joseph, who's our BFM coordinator. Also, you can talk to Stephanie Diaz for information on the youth workshop. Okay, so that's that. And you can find out all this and more at our website. So before we move on, I want to invite up Dominic to share an announcement as well.
Hi, this is just a brief update. As you came in this morning, you may have noticed that the grounds are a bit of a mess, or a lot of a mess. So we had a filming production happen over the last week and a half, and it brings us some pretty good money, which we can use to take care of the property. And also, filming is great as opposed to other types of events because they are committed to fixing everything. And so stay tuned. We hope that you'll soon see some major improvements, and everything will start looking great, especially when the spring comes. Did you have a question? What? It was a TV production by Showtime called 3 Women. It's not aired yet, or it's not out at all, but I guess probably next year it will be.
What type of improvement?
Well, mostly we're going to be fixing the grass and making the parking area a little bit. We're also working perhaps on paving certain areas of the roads if we can get enough money to do that.
Nice. All right, thank you, Dominic. Thank you for the Belvedere crew for all their hard work. Appreciate that. And we have one final announcement. It's not really an announcement, it's more of a report. For those of you who didn't hear, we had a ACLC prayer breakfast yesterday. So I want to invite up Mr. and Mrs. Okamoto, my parents, to share a report. And they have some pictures to show as well. It was called the True Love Banquet. You guys ready? Okay. Yeah, you ready? Okay. All right, let's welcome up Mrs. Okamoto.
Okay. Yeah, yesterday. Oh, good morning, everybody. Haven't seen you guys for a long time. What? Oh, okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, nice to see everybody again. It's been a while for us in particular because we're usually visiting churches. But anyway, yesterday we had a basically a prayer breakfast, but it was in collaboration with one pastor named Reverend Gabriel, who's been working with us a lot lately and who really loves ACLC. So it was True Love Banquet, and he presented, Reverend Gabriel presented on practical love, Christian kind of love, like agape love, and he talked about that for a little while. And then Reverend Edna spoke about basically like the blessing or the three blessings, and he's very masterful at weaving like divine principle into the Christian theology. And so he kind of talked about the three blessings, and then the blessing of marriage, and so that was very good. And then David and I actually gave a testimony of our blessing, and that was very short, but some people found it interesting. And then, we had a wonderful musical performance, first of all by our choir, who, under any circumstances, comes up with great music. If there's 4 or 6 or only men or only woman, it's always fabulous. And they really brought a good spirit. So I'm very grateful to the choir. You guys left before I had a chance to thank you, but and then we had Michael White, who is a recent contact of ours, who actually met Heavenly USA in Brooklyn. And there's a whole testimony to that, but I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, he came here to perform, and he was really blessed by our event. And in fact, he said to us this morning, I just want to read what he said. He said the shared word by both speakers was so powerful. And he also said, and seeing how long you both and others have been married was very encouraging, especially for the young people. He said it gives hope to the younger people because, we didn't sugarcoat it so much. But and then he also said the message of the founder of the was well understood yesterday by me. So he got that, and he got the idea of loving your enemy. Yeah, and like, because you have to forgive, right, before you can love again. He talked about that. So we have a few pictures. If Charles could just kind of run through them. So that gentleman on the left, the right bottom there, he prayed in Hebrew. He's a guest. What's that? From Colombia, yeah. Colombia speak. Then he prayed in Spanish, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And just kind of go through them. Oh, there's our wonderful choir. Yes. They were great. Reverend Gabriel on the right. That's me and David giving our testimony, and Reverend Edna, who was the star of the show. There's some of the guests. That couple there, the African-American couple, Peggy's couple, they were married 48 years. And we actually gave, we honored all the couples who were married. We did it by year, how long they were married. So they were the oldest, can I say that? Older or the longest married couple. There you go. Yeah, they were the longest married couple. And that lady on the right, left top side, she actually was meant to sing, but she had a migraine headache. And I know how that is. If you have a migraine, you're usually wiped out for the whole day. But she actually came too late to sing, unfortunately. But she came, and she said that she wants us to do this kind of program in her church. And she said, we have a lot of young people that would be great if they could learn about the marriage blessing. So we're hoping to do that. Yeah, this is the discussion. That's on the left again. I'm getting mixed up. Left is Michael White. He's the singer. He's from Nigeria, but he's been here a long time, so his English is very good. I mean, his accent. Nigerians speak English, but his accent is good. So yeah, so that's we took the holy wine at some point. Oh, there. Okay, there we are, taking the holy wine, and then that's everybody with their rose. So it was especially at the end, it was very uplifting. Oh, I can see it here. Okay, that's good. It was very uplifting. Michael White come up and he kind of got everybody up dancing and everything. So it really lifted the spirit even higher. And we had our wonderful Bruce Grodner. I didn't see his picture there, but he gave a short report about WCLC and with a short video, which I think was why Michael White said he understands the vision more from that video mainly. Yeah, so anything else? Okay, thank you.
It was a nice event. Make it even more interesting, you have a gentleman from Colombia praying in Hebrew. So he's representing South America and Israel. So that kind of multiplies. And then we have Nagi Yusuf, Reverend Yusuf, who's an old friend of ours from the Yonkers Arabic Baptist Church. So that's also representing two different cultures. Arab typically means Muslim, but he's Baptist. So, we it's like with the same number of people, we represent more, And then the choir, I saw on the program, it says Belvedere Choir. I said, choir? There's 4 guys. So we had to also represent a choir. So, but anyway, it came off pretty well. The energy was really very, very nice. So, thanks. So anyway, it was it's good that we're reaching out to these people. So anyway, let's move on. Let's all stand and welcome our music team.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. So yesterday was really interesting. We were singing with Mr. Barber, so we call ourselves the Barber Shop Quartet.
The barber and his shop.
So today we'll do our songs. Let's start with, we do some really interesting songs that we haven't sung in a long while. Love Each Other, One World, One Heart, Our Forefathers. So we'll begin with Love Each Other. Into this world came a child of purity. He was meant to be free, and all living things will rejoice as he sings, and his Father is grateful and proud. Sun beaming down as he walks through fields of green, with only he has seen, and mother will smile as he looks on his child, and the rainbow will break through the crowd. And love each other. These are the words of our Father. He has given you all you need to see through this world. Bright is his hope. and it grows like the petals of a rose, unfolding and sharing the fragrance of love. His children will dance in the sun, love and love each other. These are the words of our Father. He has given you all you need to see you through this world. Oh, and love each other. These are the words of our Father. He has given you all you need to see through this world. He's given you all you need to see you through this world. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Let's continue with singing One World, One Heart. Everybody sing. One world, one heart. One world, one heart. And one strong love to lead. One world, one heart. One world, one heart. The light of truth sets you free. The lightning flashes across the sky to light the path of those who try. One world, one heart. One world, one heart. And the ancient serpent is thrown down. One world, one heart. One world, one heart. Can't you hear the trumpet sound? And many stars fall from the sky, and they all walk the wide. One world, one heart. One world, one heart. Into the age of continuity. One world, one heart. One world, one heart. Bringing the old world to an end. Can't you hear? Please hear the call of love meant for all men. All men. One world, one heart. One world, one heart. Bringing the old world to an end. One world, one heart. One world, one heart. Bringing the old world to an end. Yeah. Bringing the old world to an end. One more time. Bringing the old world to an end. Hey! So the final song is a very beautiful song. It's a very short song, but it's very beautiful. So we'll sing it twice. Our forefathers built for us a beautiful land. Our forefathers built for us a beautiful land. Till it is completed, we will join heart and hand. See the new eternal history begging us to come. Quickly on the journey to the true eternal home. How the beauty of our native land lifts us to the sky. God has surely chosen this eternal paradise. Okay, all the men alone. Our forefathers built for us a beautiful land. Till it is completed, we will join in heart and hand. Women only. See the new eternal history begging us to come. Quickly on the journey to the true eternal home. All together. How the beauty of our native land lifts us to the skies. God has surely chosen this eternal paradise. Beautiful song. Thank you so much. You sound so good.
Thank you. I think we need to add a word to our vocabulary. Our foremothers, don't you think? Really, I mean, the women, yeah, right? It was, of course, a woman that started the applause, right? Or the founding mothers, right? You know, it's always about men. It's a kind of a chauvinistic. So here's no. Anyway, so at least we can add that, right? Especially since our heavenly mother, our true mother, is so active with us today. But thank you. I think next time we need a choir, we'll just invite all of you guys to come because it sounded so nice. Okay, are you ready for the next prayer breakfast? Yeah. Four of us was good, and we have Matthew on the drums today, but we did have a percussion section, which was me on a tambourine. So, but it was nice. It was good. So let's prepare to receive our message. Let's pray together. Good morning, Heavenly Parents. Good morning, true parents. Good morning, brothers and sisters around the world. We're grateful for Sunday because it's your day. It's a day that you can come into our hearts and into our minds with our fellowship, with our prayer, with our song, and with the message we receive. Please help us each to open our hearts and minds to make us just one step better, one small iota of better people. We pray for our brothers and sisters around the world, especially for those in Ukraine right now, that we can see them protected and see them be victorious. And even beyond that, we pray for the world that it doesn't take a step backward where one country can take over another country by force. We really thought and hoped that that time in history was over. So we pray that that can be stopped so the precedent isn't set for that to ever happen again. Father, please be with our speaker this morning as we receive the message. Please be with all of our brothers and sisters as each brother and sister attends morning service in their neighborhood. We offer a prayer and offer this Sunday devotion. We pray in the name of all blessed central families here. Aju. Okay, well, welcome once again, not for announcements, but for our message. Let's welcome Pastor Justin. Thank you.
Give me 1 second. All right. We're getting better at this switching thing. All right. Good morning, brothers and sisters. Morning. Yeah, good to see you all here. Yesterday there was a couple things going on yesterday. Actually, we had, of course, the prayer breakfast, but we also had skiing with the up and coming group. And how many of you here were attending the skiing? Can I just see? Yeah, we had quite a nice show. I think it was over around 75 people came, which was really, really great. And it was such a good time. I learned a lot. I learned that Mr. Mizuguchi is an amazing snowboarder. He looked. What was that the first time? Oh my gosh, he's really good. And also Yuri-san, I don't know. I think she's over at the Sunday school. She's really good at skiing. Oh my gosh, me not so much, not so much. But yeah, I can say at least that this sermon was crafted with blood, sweat, and tears because of yesterday. I'm in a lot of pain today, so excuse me if I make some funny faces while I while I give the sermon. Um, but yeah, no, it's really great to be here together with all of you today. This is going to be our first sermon. Actually, it's going to be our only sermon with this topic, the attributes of true love, because we missed a couple Sundays in January. But this is such a central topic and part of our message as the unification movement and our true parents words. This is really, from what I understand and what I've read, this is really the core of their teaching is true love. And yeah, honestly, that's something that I'm very proud of to say that when people ask me what do we believe, I say basically our what we're all about is true love, loving people unconditionally. And that's something, I'm proud to be a unificationist because of that. But let's start off with some words from our founder, Sun Myung Moon, True Father. So it says, "What is the most important thing, that which we need more than anything else? It is not money, power, or knowledge. It is true love. True love is more precious than life itself and more important to us than air or water. Why is true love so precious and important? It is because it is the means by which we can meet God. Just as human beings desire to meet God, God also wants to meet true human beings because of love. The love by which God can see, touch, and share with men and women at the same time is the love by which men and women love each other. If anything other than love were to be recognized as the most valuable thing in the universe, men and women would fight each other to try to claim it for themselves. Once we realize that love is the highest value, however, we can strive to live for each other and become one with each other, sharing the happiness of possessing love together. Everyone desires love. Love is the only thing that can satisfy all human desires. It is humankind's and God's unfailing attraction to love that makes God's providence of salvation possible." Adieu. Yeah, so really powerful words about the value of love and really how love is as at the core of everything. It's the core of why we live our life. Actually, why God is bringing out this whole providence of salvation is for the sake of love. So if we're going to talk about true love, then we have to first of all understand what is true love. Because if we look at the world around us, I think there are many different definitions of love that circulate around in our culture, right? And I think most Americans, as we know that a majority of Americans are unchurched, we call them these days, right? They have no experience receiving any kind of real religious upbringing or education. And so where do most Americans get their understanding of what love is? It's from Hollywood, basically, TV, the media, right? The reality is, I would say most Americans get their understanding of what love is, even this idea of true love. Like we hear that even in movies, right? Oh, I find my true love, right? And so they have this concept that true love is about, finding that one person that just makes you feel amazing, that takes all your problems away. Love is, they collapse love with attraction, with romance, with sex, which, those are all part of love, but I wouldn't say that's the core of what love is, right? But, this is the reality of what most Americans understand about love. I would say most of our children, including myself, this was the culture that I grew up in, was all my friends talking about love as in the person that they like at school. This person's so attractive. This person, that person. I just found this clip. This is like So, this is what love is to Americans. It's like, if you don't know this, he says, you complete me. It's like, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. It's like, but this is what they see. Love is like this man in tears, saying, "Oh, you complete me. You're like everything," And then all the women like, "Oh my gosh, this is exactly what I want." And the guys are like, "Yeah, whatever." But yeah, that's basically what most of America has to base love off of. So, what about us as unificationists? What do we understand true love to be? So I want to hear from you. Just shout out, what is your understanding? If you could say it in a few sentences or a sentence, what do you think true love is? Sacrifice, centered on God. Yeah. What else? Joy, giving, unconditional. Patience. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really great. So we have so much, we've received so much education on just what is this word true love? What does it mean? And that's so important to be able to clearly define what true love is. Because that's really, I believe that's what the world is missing, is a true definition of true love that people can understand. And one of the aspects of true love that our true parents have talked about is this idea of living for the sake of others, right? And we've heard this over and over and over again, living for the sake of others. And, living for the sake of others it's really about, putting the happiness of somebody else before the happiness of myself, right? And then in the process, we get to experience this incredible joy together in this experience of love, right? So it's not saying that, I'm miserable and I'll do whatever, as long as you're happy, I can be as miserable as I, as possible, and it's totally fine. But it's saying that, through the process of actually making others happy, bringing joy to others, you get to experience love. You get to experience this incredible joy that comes through a loving relationship. And another aspect of love, as Masai shouted out, was unconditional, right? And I think this is what really brings the true to the true love, right? Love is like living for the sake of others, but I think to make it real true love, it has to be unconditional, right? And, unconditional means that no matter who the person is, that they are worthy of your love. They're worthy of receiving love. Unconditional also means without expecting anything in return, right? Like there's no condition that you will give me something back for this, right? But I will just give. I will just give my love because you deserve it, because you are a child of God. And personally, I feel very lucky that I had this definition of love growing up. Even in my years straying from this church, as many of you know, I didn't have a straight path to the blessing or to God. But even when I was straying from the church, I still had this concept of true love in my mind, living for the sake of others, unconditional love. And I remember, when I was in a relationship, I had this girlfriend back in my senior year of high school, and even during that time, it wasn't because I didn't believe in true love, but it was because, I had this idea that I could find true love, this kind of true love. I could create it, out there, because I felt, I'm not experiencing it in our community, in my life. Let me go look for it. And what I realized in that relationship was, that this concept of true love was very unique to my upbringing. And I remember this one moment where it really hit me was, I was I don't know, I was at the mall or something, and I was trying to keep this relationship a secret from my parents. And I was at the mall, and I think I saw my brother or something at the mall, and I started freaking out, and I was like, oh shoot, I'm caught, And I remember having a conversation with this girl, and she was telling me, your parents are just crazy, and this and this and this, and she was just saying a lot of like negative things about my parents. And And I was getting upset because like these are my parents. Like I still love my parents. I may be, not going the way that they want me to go, but I still love them. And I don't want, anybody to saying bad things about my parents. But what I understood was she was saying whatever she could say to get me away from them and closer to her. Right. And that was all that was important to her, was that I stay with her in this relationship. Many things happen where I started to realize that's the only thing that really matters to her. And to me, that didn't fit my concept of what true love is supposed to be like, living for the sake of others. And I'm not going to pretend like I was some, perfect person in that relationship. I obviously was not mature enough to practice this kind of true love. But the point is I always had this concept, because I couldn't deny that this kind of true love is the ultimate true love that I would want to pursue, that I thought anybody would want to pursue if they knew that it existed, if they could imagine that it existed. This is worth going after. And so, over time, I realized that this wasn't going to work, and that relationship didn't work out, mainly because I just came to the conclusion that this is not the place where I can experience the true love that I want to experience in my life. So, what I want to just share about this is, especially for the second gen, you may not realize how lucky that you are to be raised with this concept, this very clear concept of true love, that this is something that the world does not have access to, this kind of education, this kind of idea of true love. And yes, it is not easy to experience it, right? Because we're not living in a perfect world, perfect community, a perfect family. But, it is worth pursuing. It is worth going after. Just like, we say, right, the pursuit of happiness, right, in our Declaration of Independence, right? You're not guaranteed happiness, but you're guaranteed the pursuit of it, right? You're not guaranteed true love in the unification movement, but you're guaranteed the pursuit of it. We want to make the pathway clear for you to pursue true love in your life, in your relationships. And one aspect of true love that I think we can't really talk about true love unless we bring up the concept of loving your enemies. Because true love is, after all, unconditional. And that means not just loving on the condition that you are my friend, or you are my family, or that you are somebody that I enjoy being around, but it's unconditional. It means it goes out to anybody. And of course, Jesus spoke about loving your enemy. And he says in Matthew, "You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven." Now, and this was such a revolutionary idea when it came out, and it still is a revolutionary idea to this day, that we're not just here to love our neighbors, but to love our enemy. And why do we need to love our enemy? It says right there at the end, it says, so that we can be children of our Father in heaven. And if we read True Father's words, we can see, he expands on this point, that really the only way to become true children of God is to go through the process of loving your enemy. So I want to read from the Chansangyang, because, well, before I read this, I just want to say, that some of these concepts may be a little bit hard to grasp when we first read them, but I'll break it down afterwards. So it says, every human being is connected to two lineages. One is Satan's lineage. We are linked to it through the historical line of our ancestors. This happened because they had a self-centered consciousness. Then what is the other lineage, God's lineage, about? It is to live not for oneself, but for the sake of the whole. This lineage lives for the sake of others. This is why arrogant people can never escape Satan's lineage. How can you free yourself from that lineage? Worldly people live for themselves, but godly people are the opposite. They live not for their own sake, but for the sake of the world. of the whole. That is why I tell you that the way to be free from the fallen realm is to love your enemy. Right? So he's really expanding on what Jesus said, that to become children of our Father, you need to love your enemy. That's the only way that we can separate from this lineage of Satan. And I know that this idea of Satan's lineage, for many people, I think especially a lot of young people, this might seem very conceptual. Like, what does that actually mean that that people are part of Satan's lineage? But I think what it comes down to, if we want to bring that into more like the experience of life, I think one thing that we can all say that we can share in the experience of is that we all experience being not free in life. We all experience this experience of being ensnared by some force, like we are trapped, and we are not free to be our best self. We are not free to express our deepest, most heart. We are not free to express our deepest love to one another, right? And I can't, maybe I won't speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself that I feel many times in my life that I am not free. I often feel imprisoned by negative thoughts, by bad habits, by my constant desire to be liked by people, to please people, my fear of rejection. I feel imprisoned by this all the time. Even as a pastor, there's so much more that I would love to do for the community. I'd love to visit more homes and more members and get to know you and really share love with brothers and sisters. But the thing that stops me most is not anything outside, but it's what's inside. It's my own fear. It's my fear that, oh, what if they don't want to see me? What if it's going to be awkward? What if I'm going to burden them? What if they reject me? Now, this is the prison that I live in. And I think this is the prison that we all live in. This is the state of humanity, is a state of imprisonment. And I would say, if you think Satan's lineage is just a concept, it's just idea, I would say, look at that experience for yourself and look how every single human being, if you really start talking to them, if you really talk about what troubles them, what are their challenges, you'll start to realize that we're all dealing with the same exact challenges. We all are afraid of being unloved, of being unaccepted by others. And we're all stopped by that fear of rejection. So that is what I would call the fallen realm. That is what I would call it means to be in Satan's lineage. And that is what we want to break free from. We want to be free in our life, to express our love, to be with people, to be our best self. And Father is saying, and Jesus is saying, that there is no way to do that outside of loving your enemy. That is your access to freedom. And so this is what is available to us. True parents, Jesus, they've made this pathway available to us, this pathway to freedom, which we all, deep inside of our hearts, we deeply want. And so I want to share, just a few tips about loving your enemy, because, it's great if we have the desire to do it, but of course you want to know, okay, so how do we do that, right? We gotta get some practical steps here, right? So put on my professor of love hat here. Number one, I think number one is to be honest with yourself, with ourself. I think sometimes we don't want to admit that we actually have enemies in our life, right? We might say, oh, that they're just not my friend. They're not my enemy, or, oh, no, come on. I love everybody. But, or I just don't disagree. I just disagree with that person. Doesn't mean they're my enemy. But let's be honest. I think if we really look at ourselves honestly, we all have enemies in our life. It could be Democrats. It could be Republicans. It could be white people. It could be black people. It could be H1, H2, men, women. It could be yourself. Sometimes we're our own worst enemy, right? Sometimes it can be our spouse or a family member. But how can you tell that somebody is actually an enemy? Sorry, 1 second. I would say the way that you know someone is an enemy is if you're unwilling to engage in communication with that person, or if you'd rather not have a relationship with that person, then I would assert that that person is actually an enemy, your enemy. And once you're honest with yourself and you can declare it with yourself, okay, I've made this person my enemy. You gotta really just be honest with yourself. I made this person my enemy, or I made this group my enemy. Then from there, you can start to make progress. Right? You can start to see the pathway to the person that you really need to reach out and love that person. So the second tip is to understand the 3 perspectives of every relationship. I think in any relationship, there's always 3 perspectives that we can understand. And what are they? They're your perspective, my perspective. There's the perspective of the other person. And then there's also God's perspective, right? So there's always these 3 perspectives in any situation, in every relationship. So we have to understand our own perspective. We have to understand, why we feel difficulty towards this person or this group. We have to understand, and maybe we feel hurt. Maybe we feel some kind of resentment towards this group or this person. Or it might be, this person looks like somebody else that hurt me when I was, 10 years old. We start realizing that a lot of the experiences that we're having right now are based on something that happened in our past. And then, of course, we need to understand the other person's perspective, right? Why do they think the way that they think? Why are they the way that they are? Understand their history, their challenges, what is important to them. And we can do that by reflecting, just taking some time to pray about it, to reflect, try to put yourself in their shoes. But also, one of the most easiest ways is to just ask, what was that like for you? When I said that to you, what was that like for you? Allow them to share their perspective and really listen to it, without immediately passing it off as invalid or stupid, because we do that a lot. We say, oh, well, I didn't say that, or, that's not what that meant. We're invalidating other people's perspectives almost immediately when it doesn't align with ours. And what we need to realize is that every perspective is worth understanding, no matter how much we may disagree with it. So, and I want to emphasize, you don't have to agree with it to love that person, but it's worth understanding that perspective. And then finally, there's God's perspective, right? And we need to understand that in this relationship, that, it's not just between the 2 of us, but God is there with us, and God loves all of us. God loves me. God loves this enemy of mine. And nothing would bring God more joy, more happiness than to see us to reconcile and to love and to unite together. So the third tip is to commit to communication. So what I mean by this is to really commit to, no matter what happens, not to shut down communication, and not to say, I'm never going to talk to this person again. This person's not worth my time. You might have arguments in the process. You might have setbacks. You might have things that you disagree about, but you have to commit that no matter what, I will still communicate. I will still come back for another conversation, to keep talking, to keep listening, because communication is the only place where breakthroughs can happen in relationships. So again, these 3 tips. Number 1, be honest with yourself. Number 2 is to understand the 3 perspectives that are involved. And number 3, to commit to communication. And, I want to just share a recent example for me, using these tools. So, I was kind of reflecting on myself and, how I can, grow my capacity to love. And I thought about, what's an area of my life that, I haven't really done much about to improve, or of course, I'm thinking about the community and the movement. And so what came up for me was, these different, factions of our movement, right? We have these different groups. And I don't know about for you, but for me, it's a pretty sad situation if I think about it. And the sad thing is that it's been that way for a long time, and it just has not changed for many, many years. And there's no real hope on the horizon. So I thought, okay, what can I at least do personally? So I decided to reach out to somebody from what we would call the H1 group, right? This is Hyunjinim's group. So I talked to a brother. His name's Kenshu, and he's actually a leader of that group. And my intention was just to really bridge this gap, just to feel like I didn't want to feel like this person's my enemy, So I just reached out to him. I never met the guy before, and I said, hey, I would love to just get to know you and talk and see if we could create something together. And he said okay. So we talked, and we got on Zoom. And in the beginning, I kind of felt like I felt nervous. I was like, I don't know what this is going to be like. Never talked to the guy before. And yeah, we did talk about issues between our different sides, and I listened to what he had to say. And I just did that. I just listened. I didn't judge. I didn't say, that's wrong. Your way of thinking is wrong. I just listened. And what I understood was like, wow, at the core of their complaints are values that we all share. like we all want honesty, we all want love. We all want great experiences for our children, and they're fighting for it, and we're fighting for it, but we're all fighting for the same thing. And I was like, wow, this is amazing and ridiculous. And I just told them man, I didn't say I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you here or there. I just said, what I'm hearing is that you really love your children, you love your family, you love your community. And I'm like, and I'm the same way. And wouldn't it be great if we could do that together? And he said, he was like, yeah, that would be great. It would be great to see our kids being friends with each other. I mean, our Sunday school is getting pretty small. We could use we can use some more kids, right? And what was really significant for me at the end of that call was, at the end of it, in the beginning we were just introducing ourselves formally, but at the end of it, he said, you know what, brother, it was really great talking to you. He called me brother. And to me, it was like, wow, that is how joyful that must be for God, that somebody who, saw somebody else as an enemy, and we can call each other brother. And, and since then we've been continuing to communicate, and we're actually talking about, how can we get more people in on this conversation to get together and to, bridge these gaps, not be enemies anymore, because it's really ridiculous that we're fighting. So anyway, I just want to share that it was just, it was an amazing experience. And I felt the freedom. I really felt the freedom. Like I was free from something. And that's what I want to just share. That's available to all of us. True parents have made that available to all of us, that freedom from Satan's bondage. And the way that we do that is to find our enemy and to go out and to love them, have a conversation. That's all it takes. So that's all I really wanted to share with all of you today. Thank you so much. God bless you, and I love you all. Thank you. Okay, and I'll say a prayer. Please join me in prayer. Our most beloved Heavenly Parent, true parents, we thank you so much for this wonderful day. Father, we're so grateful for everything that you've given us, that you gave us a pathway to be free from the bondage of Satan, from the prison that we all find ourselves in, that all of humanity finds themselves in. Not necessarily because of what they did individually even, but because of this long history of fallen nature, of fallen acts, Heavenly Parents, that began at the very beginning of human history. Heavenly Parents, we as unificationists, we often forget just how lucky we are, but we really do have the keys to the kingdom. We've been given these keys by our true parents, by their words, by their teachings. And it's really just down to us opening the door and walking into it. Heavenly Parents, that is our responsibility. Our true parents have done all that they could to really encourage us, to teach us, to educate us in the way that we must go. And now it's really just down to us, Heavenly Parents. And Heavenly Parents, because we have so much going for us, we have a reason to be hopeful. Even though the world looks like it's in a very dark place, especially now with the crisis that's happening in the Ukraine, it seems like the world sometimes seems like it's getting worse rather than better. But Heavenly Parents, we have hope because we are here. And we are here with our true mother leading the way, our leaders. Heavenly Parents, we want to really reflect on ourselves, reflect on our relationships, reflect on where we can really go out and love our enemies, to create that connection, to rebuild that bond that was broken, and ultimately to bring you that sense of relief, that sense of joy, that sense of excitement that your children are coming together, that your children are loving each other. We really want to give you that gift, Heavenly Parents. And as we go forward this week, I pray that we can really keep this mission in our hearts and find a way to really apply it. We thank you so much. And I pray report this in my name, Justin Okamoto, bless Central Family. Adieu.
Let's show our appreciation. It's a great message, huh? Internally and external. I think he needs a business card, Professor of Love, right? That was good. Dr. Young, just recently, the timing is interesting. Dr. Young in Morning Devotion has been talking about love relationships. And how many participate in Morning Devotion with Dr. Young? Yeah, good. For those who don't, it's really, really exceptional. So tune in. But he talks a lot about love relationships and not just forgiving your enemy. Of course, that's crucial. But he's been talking about if you can, that actually changes you. If you look for the good points, because it was Lucifer's nature, and the beginning of the end was Lucifer complaining, right? So if you're looking at someone, you're complaining about what's wrong with them, that's not God's nature. That's Lucifer's nature, showing we're supposed to. He's been saying we're not supposed to try to get to the kingdom of heaven. We're supposed to build the kingdom of heaven, right? So part of that is how we love each other, how we relate to each other, not to try to get to Chanoguk, but to create Chanoguk. So that's important. And I know with I think my own personal relationship with my wife, also known as Heavenly Honey for most of you. Start calling her by that. And the GPA kids often call her Mama Honey, which is really cute, But there's he's talking about the three perspectives, my perspective, her perspective, God's perspective. Well, the ideal is we're all in tune with God's perspective. So when my wife, Louise is in the Dominican Republic, she's been gone for 9 days, and she's often gone for multiple days, working morning and night. And if it was her perspective against my perspective, it'd be uncomfortable. Why aren't you home? Why don't you cook dinner? Why don't you take care of the kids? I've seen that happen. Unfortunately, I've seen that happen with couples. But I'm just so grateful and so respectful and really honor what she's doing, because GPA is really making a difference in young people's lives. It's they call it life of faith training. So the ideal of those three perspectives is we all connect with God's perspective, and it just makes me admire my wife more and love her more. So that's pretty special. Anyway, that's that loving our enemies changes our own blood. So that's a great message. So let's not go the other way. Let's not represent Lucifer's side. Okay, let's bring up the music team to close us out. Thanks.
Two great messages today. Do you want a third? No.
Take it away.
Yeah, it was very good. Very, very good. So let's close by singing the song Tongil, the song of unity. 우리의 소원은 통일 꿈에도 소원은 통일 이 목숨 바쳐서 통일이여라 이겨내 쌓이는 통일 이 나라 찾는 내 통일 통일이어서 통일이여라 Our cherished hopes are for unity. Even our dreams are for unity. We'll give our lives for unity. Come along, unity. Unity saving the people. Unity saving our nations. Come here with unity. Come along, unity. Thank you so much. You sounded really great all together. Thanks to Pastor Justin Okamoto and Steve for these great words. Have a great week, everybody.
Yeah.